So Paige Bueckers has had a ridiculously good start to her college career. Or not college career, college season. She's had a ridiculously good college career. She had a ridiculously good start to her college career. But I'm going to be honest, the Paige Bueckers disrespect needs to stop. I'm after seeing people ranting about how Paige Bueckers is not a generational talent, when the reality is she Caitlin Clark? No. I just want to make that a point. She is not Caitlin Clark. But there's no rule that you can only have one generational talent. Was Larry Bird a generational talent? Yes. Was Magic Johnson a generational talent? Yes. They came in the same draft. Was Michael Jordan? Did I say Magic Johnson or Jordan the first time? Magic was. Jordan was a generational talent. The three of those, Jordan was the best of them, did not mean the others weren't generational talents. Was Kobe Bryant a generational talent? Yes. Was Tim Duncan a generational talent? Yes. You could argue that Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan, you could argue either of those were never at any point in their careers the best player in the world. I think most people would say that probably early 2000s, there was probably a couple of years where it was Shaq maybe for a year or two, and then Kobe for a year or two, and then went to LeBron. But Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry are both generational talents. Again, we haven't seen any generational talent. Between them and Jokic, we haven't seen any generational talents. If we're talking about generational talents in the last 10 years in the NBA, drafted after 2010, it's Nikola Jokic and that's it. But for the WNBA, Paige Bueckers is the second best guard prospect since Taurasi. If you want to count, I'll count Maya Moore as a forward and same with Elena Deladon. But people don't realize how much Paige Bueckers was held back by Gino Auriemma. If Paige Bueckers goes to, let's just say, you know what, she's from Minnesota. I don't know, maybe she goes to another college where a coach actually, instead of wants to make her play in a system, builds a system around Paige, just like Lisa Bluter did with Caitlin Clark. Paige Bueckers would have been seen as in a much better light. If you guys have ever watched the stuff that Paige Bueckers was doing in high school, and I know, and I get it, if you can't look at high school, but she's obviously averaging 20 a game, she's doing the same things, but the flair she can play with, if she gets freedom at the WNBA level, she's not going to be Caitlin Clark good, but she is going to walk into the WNBA as the second best guard in the W. Maybe it'll take her a season, maybe it'll take her 10 games like Caitlin Clark to figure it all out, but by the time we go to the 2026 WNBA season, the two best guards in the WNBA are going to be Caitlin Clark first, Paige Bueckers second. Caitlin Clark, by the end of her rookie season, was without question the best guard in the W. And Paige Bueckers, I'm saying this right now, Paige Bueckers, by the end of her rookie year, is going to be better than Sabrina Ionescu. That is how good Paige Bueckers is. Is she going to be better than Caitlin Clark? No. But you can have more than one generational player. Magic Johnson's what a lot of people think is probably the second greatest guard of all time. Either him or Steph Curry. If you want to count Michael Jordan as a guard. Does not mean that he was the best player in the world when Jordan was there, which she's highly unlikely to be better than Caitlin, but she is that good. If you watch some of the high school stuff that Paige Bueckers was doing, there was a flair. The type of flair that Caitlin Clark had is what Paige Bueckers had as a player in high school. Some of the stuff that she was able to do as far as dribbling is concerned, as far as her passing, some of the flashy passes, she just had, for lack of a better word, she just had all the excitement stripped out of her game by Gino Auriemma. And that's the thing where it's it depends on what version of Paige Bueckers comes to the WNBA. If UConn Paige Bueckers comes to the WNBA, she's going to be really good. She's going to be all WNBA, all-star. He'll be all-star as a rookie, probably all W second team. She's going to be that good coming in, even if she comes in as UConn. If she comes in with a coach and a system that is look, we're looking to build this league. You do you. You do you. And Paige is allowed to show the flair that she showed even at times as a freshman. I've watched Paige Bueckers since coming back from injury. This is the least hesitant she's looked. She looked hesitant last year. As good as she was, she looked she realistically looked a bit hesitant coming off the ACL tear and the other injuries. But still, Paige, if we're ranking prospects out of 100, Paige Bueckers, Caitlin Clark, if Caitlin Clark is 100 out of 100 as far as guard prospects, Paige Bueckers is 93 out of 100. Like, that's where the levels would be. If we're talking about overall prospects, like, and I'm going to be honest, the gap between Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark is smaller than the gap between Angel Reese and Paige Bueckers. Like, when we're talking about these, like, young, hyped players coming through. Like, if you're asking me who the best young players in the W next year are going to be, I'm going Caitlin, Paige. I'm taking Cam Brink, depending on how she comes back from her knee. Cardoso. There's a lot of good, really good young players in the W. There's going to be a lot of good young players in the W next year. But, like, Paige is very clearly number 2 on that. And, like, if there's going to be a Magic v. Bird rivalry, it's not going to be Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese because there is so much of a gap. There is so much of a gap between the two of them. Like, and I'm looking at Angel Reese in her off-season workouts, and there's, like, clips of her on the low block going one dribble behind the back in a straight line. And I'm like, if you do that, you are dribbling the ball into a person. I'm like, they're like, oh, she's putting in work. And I'm like, fire that trainer. Fire that trainer that has you doing that. Fire that trainer. But, yeah, it's going to be, like, that is, like, that's the level Paige is at. And, like, nobody that's talking about the hype of Paige Bueckers. And, like, I tweeted out something like Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin is going to be that rivalry. Because what realistically is going to happen is Paige Bueckers is going to put up worse numbers and better efficiency. And you can make the argument. I think Paige is going to be good enough that you can make that argument. Just like KD was good enough that you could make the argument that KD was better than LeBron James at stages in his career. Even though the vast majority of people would say you were crazy for that take. The vast majority of people would not agree with that take. It was, KD was good enough that you didn't sound crazy for making that take. And I think that's the level Paige is going to be in comparison to a Caitlin Clark. But the reality is whatever way you define generational, I don't really care. Paige is the second best guard prospect since Diana Taurasi. So, by my definition of generational, Paige is that. Paige is that. And, like, just because I'm a fan of one player, just because I've become a fan of one team, does not mean that there's any point just lying. Like, Caitlin Clark was better than Paige Bueckers in college last year. Yes, obviously. Paige Bueckers was the second best guard in college basketball last year. She was better than Juju Watkins. Like, Paige is better than Juju by quite a bit right now. And Paige has no flaws in her game. She's got no weaknesses. And if she's allowed more freedom at the W than she has with UConn, it's gonna be a good season. But my prediction is Paige averages like 16, 5, and 5 as a rookie. Makes all W second team, is an all-star, and is going to do it more efficiently that the Caitlin Clark haters have a debate. So, yeah, that's the video.